Welcome back to AM Northwest. If you don't know, a tweet from a status update or a text message from an email, our next guest will soon be your BFF. Here to help late bloomers embrace technology, please welcome the author of Is This Thing On?, Abby Stokes.
Hello there. Thank you.
I understand that you wrote this book because of an experience you had teaching your mom how to use a computer.
My mother, who can't change her clock radio when the time changes, about 20
I'm
years
with your mother
I
on
know,
that one.
but
Okay.
you know, it's because you're not interested in doing that. My mom, about 20 years ago, said to me, "Can you teach me how to use the computer?" My mom wanted to be a librarian, so she has a very curious mind.
Oh.
And so for her, she saw the benefit of using the computer. There's not such a benefit in the clock radio. So indeed, I did teach my mom. But when I was teaching her, I realized she learned in a very different way than I did, which prompted a whole business that I've had for 20 years, is basically teaching digital immigrants, people who were not born with computers in their hands. Digital natives are the grandkids and the kids who pick up an iPad and they immediately get on the internet, and you thought it was a chopping board. You know what I mean?
Like, how did they know how to do that?
Yeah, it's just because they think it's a toy. They don't see the plastic box as the enemy or something they have to learn. Digital natives get their hands on this technology and they're like, oh, that's so fun. Let me see if we get our hands on this technology and go, it will take over my life. Like we get we have a whole emotional response to it. So when I taught Mom, I realized there was a language nobody was using for this demographic, and that's what prompted my writing the book.
That goes to the first question, the most common hurdles that you see people having to face when it comes to technology.
The issue is the three main reasons why a digital immigrant wants to learn the computer is email, surfing the internet, or because they don't want to be left behind. That's an emotional reason. And because that's an emotional reason, it's harder for them because they're already freaking out about it. So the hurdle is their fear. And the way to get over the fear is to show them the benefits. So before I ever teach anybody, I always ask them what their interests are. And before I go to them, so this is a tip.
I want to see my grandkids on pictures.
Exactly. I want to see pictures, or I love to travel, or my granddaughter travels a lot. I love to follow where she travels, or my hobby is this. So find something that interests them, and then you get over the hurdle because they see the benefit. The other hurdle is the mouse. To be honest with you, it's not easy to manipulate. So the first thing you do with somebody is teach them how to play solitaire online, because solitaire teaches you single click, double click, and click and drag, which are the three actions of the mouse.
It's my mother does.
Yeah, I know. I call her an over-clicker.
Yeah,
so
she's
when
an
in doubt,
over-clicker. That's
click
what
the mouse.
it is.
And what you do with that is then the computer's like, wait, she told me to do this. Now I'm supposed to do this. And the computer's freaking out. So I actually have people like that. I'll make them sit on their hands until it's time to use the mouse so that they don't actually over-click, because the over-clicking just confuses everything.
Now, the idea of solitaire and using the mouse, that makes a lot of sense.
And even if you don't like to play cards, it's just the one simple action online that lets you single click, double click, and click and drag. It's like learning how to use a stick shift. Once you figure that out, you can drive the car. Once you figure out the mouse, you can use the computer.
Let's talk a little bit about like email etiquette or computer etiquette, some common things.
Right. I think the most important thing with email is I wouldn't write a letter to you and include on the cover of the envelope every other address of the person I've written to that day. So why would you send an email and have it be that you're exposing everybody's email address? The math is this. If I send a chain letter to you and I asked you to send it to 10 people, and they send it to 10 and they send it to 10, within 6 generations, it will have reached 1 million people.
Oh, wow.
If I don't protect your email address, I've exposed you to 1 million people. So in email, there's a to box, which is where you put most email addresses. There's also an option for a CC box, which is carbon copy. That means both people can see who received it. There's a third option that many people don't use called blind carbon copy, BCC.
Oh, that's what the B stands for.
So blind means whoever's email address is in that box can't see the other people, nor can the people in the to box or the CC box. So if you're sending a mass email, put everybody into the blind carbon copy box and you've protected their email address.
And don't hit reply all.
And don't hit reply all. Oh, there are stories of people doing that.
I remember Bryant Gumbel getting in trouble for saying something mean in a reply all.
Yeah, be very cautious with that. The other thing from the recipient point of view is, you know, spammers and people who send bad things to try to get you feed off of either our fear or curiosity. And digital immigrants, by their nature, are more polite when they're on the computer. So if something pops up on the screen and says, you should do this, or don't do, you'll do it because you think the computer's smarter than you are. If you receive emails that look a little bit unlike what the person who's sending it to you would normally say, and there's a link in there to a website, don't click on that website, because that is right now the most prevalent way that people get spam and bad things on their computer. Is they're a little curious, they received an email, it sounds important, but it's not, it doesn't sound like it came from my mom, or it doesn't sound like it came from your sister, but you click on it anyway. So the rule of thumb is this: In this case in life, if you say the word should I click on that? Should I update that? It means you don't know the answer, so the answer is no.
Okay.
In life, should I go bungee jumping? Sure. But on the computer, if you say should I, don't do it until somebody's confirmed for you that that's something you should do.
The use of all capitals.
That's shouting. So if you write an email all caps and it's bad design, the shift key is right next to the caps lock key. So you tried to capitalize something and you hit the caps lock key instead, and now when it's all capitals, it means that you're shouting. Many things like that, though, I'd say are not the fault of the person using the computer. I never would have put the caps lock key next to the shift key.
Right.
So everybody should be more sort of gentle with themselves. When they screw up on the computer, it's usually because it's badly designed. User-friendly is a bunch of malarkey. That is really good marketing. None of this is user-friendly. Anybody can learn it. Gently and carefully and slowly. Anybody can learn it, but it is not user-friendly.
Okay, we have a couple of questions
Sure.
from some technophobes off of your website, and they want to know the answer to this. First one, my cat loves to sleep on top of the CPU. Is that bad?
Well, so first, what is the CPU?
That's what I was going to ask.
The CPU is that computer case. It's the central processing unit. You call it the big plastic box.
Yeah.
I think it's probably bad for the cat. That should be my first interest for this person is I don't think the cat sleeping on top of an electronic device is a good idea anyway, but because we don't like heat with computers, the cat's generating heat, the computer's... So put some kind of an empty bowl or something on top of that so the cat's not tempted to get... It's not a good idea.
Another question, should I leave my computer on or shut it down at the end of the day?
This is a really interesting question because people fight over this one. A laptop generates heat but does not have as large a fan as a desktop computer. So you want to turn a laptop off more regularly because it gets warmer. So if you're leaving for a couple hours, for certain turn off a laptop. A desktop has a larger fan so it has more circulation. You could leave it on all the time, but I prefer to turn it off every night before I go to bed. So I'll leave it on all day, but I turn it off at night. I turn it off if I'm going on vacation.
And we mentioned clicking. Is there a way to open an icon without double clicking?
There are lots of ways if you have dexterity issues, Parkinson's, or arthritis, to compensate if using the mouse isn't so great for you. So most people, to open up an icon, to open up a program on the computer, double click on it. But if you moved your mouse on it and you single clicked and you hit the enter key on the keyboard, that would also open up the icon for you. So the double clicking could be hard for somebody to do. In that case, it's a single click and a press of the button.
You know, you are really good at this
Oh,
stuff.
well.
We may have gotten some converts here.
I hope so. I hope so.
Don't still have a landline. All right, so is this thing on? Is the name of the book, A Computer Handbook for Late Bloomers, Technophobes, and the Kicking and the Screaming?